Hi, I'm Arcane Intuitive and welcome to my channel. On this channel we look at all things tarot and spirituality. We look at what's going on in current events on the world stage, whether that's politics or pop culture. Today I want to have a look at what's going on with Brooklyn Beckham and Victoria and David. We'll look at this intuitively through tarot cards. If you're not aware, recently Brooklyn Beckham has been in the news after he issued a statement on Instagram condemning his parents. He claimed that they were controlling, that they had had a number of disagreements in the run-up to his wedding, and that they disapprove of his wife Nicola. In this reading we'll just delve into those energies and see whether there's any truth to them or what's really going on behind the scenes and how the family have responded to this. Okay, let's get started. I want to start by drawing a few cards from this deck on just overarching energies around this. And as a reminder, this channel is alleged for entertainment purposes only. No facts here. On the base of the deck we have this, so there's definitely just a splitting away of Brooklyn from the family, definitely here, and this is something that has been rumored for a while. So although we've seen these recent allegations come out in January of 2025, there had certainly been rumors prior to that there were some difficulties between the Beckhams and Nicola Peltz and her family. So Brooklyn is the oldest son of David and Victoria. He, I think, has struggled probably to find his niche and his personal career calling, and certainly has parents who are very much in the public eye and who have been incredibly successful in their own fields. He has married into a family who I believe are quite old money, like a billionaire family. So I'm interested to see what comes through for the relationship between Brooklyn and his parents. Let's start really by looking at the core issues here. This very much aligns with what we've seen come through in that previous draw. So the idea of materialism here. We have someone who is successful and does feel successful more in the financial way, and we have this judgment coming through. So Victoria and David probably both actually represent real Nine of Cups energy. Both of their careers were almost like a dream to them, right? There was a great deal of effort that they put into building these things, developing them, and so those are a wish come true, and they've reaped a lot of rewards through the success of that. It definitely would have influenced how they're interacting with their family, with their children, and maybe this has been a case of Brooklyn growing up in a scenario where those privileges that they've given him made him a little bit spoilt, and we're seeing that come through here. He is proving to be a judgment upon them, or casting a judgment upon them at this point in time. So let's see how Brooklyn's feeling about everything and then how they're feeling about everything. Okay, this is really interesting energy. So we do see Brooklyn reactive here, and there's a lot of conflict inside of him, inside of his parents and his dynamic with them. We also see here that maybe in some ways that this was always going to happen. Perhaps in a way it came about slower than it should have done. So that, like, he's held this back for a little bit, right? He's definitely been feeling reactive for a long time. He is showing it, so he's coming out against Victoria here in particular. So there is this kind of lashing out against Victoria. And I do want to say that he is thinking suddenly in a kind of longer term way. So he may also be thinking about being a parent at some point, and his dynamic with his own mother and father, and his mother in particular, is being influenced by that. The Beckhams are looking at her as instrumental. So they're looking at Nicola as a huge factor in how he's behaving, but they know he is naturally impulsive, that he might have not thought this the whole way through. Like, he's lashed out at them, and it has maybe, he hasn't considered the ramifications of going public with this. They do think that he is also spoiled here. So what's going on behind the scenes with the Beckhams at the moment? Let's actually put these up. We want to see what's kind of going on in the household, what the response to this outburst has been. Definitely been some tears actually in the household, and I would be inclined to say that Victoria in particular is so shocked that he would actually, even though they know he's impulsive, that he would actually be bold enough to come out and say this. They're having to exhibit a great deal of restraint. I think they understand that's going to be the best outcome for their image, and they don't immediately want to cause any issues here. I think you'll see them put on a united front as a family. So that's what they're gonna, the response is going to be, is to focus on the other children. They're backing each other up. They will look put together as a family despite this. Behind closed doors, this is like a real pain point though. Like, there is upset, it's impacting them, like it's impacting potentially their health with this, right? It's something that is going to make them feel incredibly upset, that it's having a detrimental effect on the family at the moment. Let's see how they're going to respond. I really feel like we've already kind of answered how they're going to respond, but let's get a bit more detail on it. I don't think you'll see the Beckhams take the bait with this. I think from their perspective, they feel like, I want to say Brooklyn, but actually now I'm being directed over to Nicola. So it's almost as if they think that Nicola might want to see them upset about this, to acknowledge it, to be seen to be in pain publicly over what has happened here. I don't think that you'll see that be the case, okay? They will execute this with this sense of decorum. So you will not see them and Victoria respond to this in a way that is overtly emotional in a public setting. That doesn't mean that other children will, though. How we see the other children respond to this. They might have kind of differing views from each other on how to handle it. I mean, there's potential for them to be slightly messy with this, or to sort of play games, and I want to say games like in terms of perspective, so that's making me think social media, right, as like the illusions in this. So it might be like a hot-headed message, but like a comment that's sort of directed indirectly at them, or they're interacting with posts here. I do feel like it's one of the children in particular that is doing this. And whoever does do this, like the child that feels this way, are they're doing it out of a sense of duty to their mother, because they can see the impact that it's having on her. Okay, like what's at the heart of this? Let's go look at it again. Like what is the truth in his allegations? I'm very much seeing it being like two sides to a story. And while there is some truth in what's being said, it's as if it's selective, right? So something here feels like it's being spun, or it's being taken out of context, or it's being framed slightly differently than it was. And that is what is frustrating, I think, to Victoria and David. It's like, there's your side, there's our side. Yes, the truth's somewhere in the middle, but you have taken the truth and you've warped it slightly here. And that's what's causing that anxiety, actually, for Victoria in particular. We are seeing this Empress come out again and again and again. And it does make me wonder if, there's potential for a pregnancy to be involved at some point in the near future here, or a child, or maybe just the future of family, of grandchildren, things like that are part of the stress of this. And again, where he's living. Got the World card here. I know the Beckhams are kind of based between different countries a lot of times. Spend a lot of time in the UK though. And it does feel like maybe he's based somewhere where they're obviously not seeing him a lot. But they wonder if having an American wife is going to mean that even if they were to mend this, would they really be seeing as much of him and as much of his family as they would otherwise? Let's look at Brooklyn's next actions. I want to say upside down with this. Come out sideways, actually. Let's leave it like that. I do think Brooklyn will live to regret this, because this is going to make it much harder for him to come back. And you know what? He's always been used to having parents who might have their faults, but they would always accept him back in, even when he's done wrong. And I do think here he's fractured his relationship with them with this. And he might eventually want to come back into the fold. That is going to be more challenging now. So he's going to feel it actually more deeply with the Ten of Swords than they might even feel it. And I do think there might be a little bit more of him wanting to dig the knife into. Somebody here is hot-headed, I will say. The King of Wands. I did not check their star signs. I do want to say whoever is hot-headed here is a Leo, an Aries, or a Sagittarius. So that's a member of the family or somebody associated with the family. Okay, show me the truth of this situation. Show me the truth. You know, I think there's something a bit deeper going on here. I almost wonder if, and it might not even be what his parents think of him, it might just be what he thinks of himself. But it is almost as if here Brooklyn is and always has struggled with a sense of self. So it's almost as though he's disappointed that he hasn't lived up to a vision that they might have had for him. I don't know if they had anything very specific in mind here. I think they just sort of assumed that he would find an area where he was strong and that he would invest a lot of time into that, and he has struggled to find something that he's excited about, that he's good at, that he has the discipline to follow through on, because it feels like discipline's a big factor in this. David and Victoria were both quite disciplined individuals here, and so there's this sense of disappointment. He's always asking himself, is he a disappointment to his parents? And I don't necessarily think that he is. It might just be that he's grown up in a way where a lot of attention has been placed on him, and the attention's been placed on him not just from his family, but, you know, the public, people that are outsiders have reflected on that family and looked at him and had expectations for him, at least in his mind, and that he has struggled with the idea that he doesn't have a clear career direction. Because I do believe he's tried different things. Let's look at this. So what's at play here? I mean, this is pretty on the money, right? This is the What's the Tea tarot deck, and I think it's quite clear that someone's being targeted online right now, and someone's been collecting some evidence. It does feel like not everything is above board, and I think there is probably some truth to both things, right? Some truth that the Beckham image is controlled. Some truth to Nicola possibly not really liking David and Victoria and wanting Brooklyn to herself for whatever reason. Might not necessarily be a negative reason. It could just be her, you know, her style of relationship. Somebody is holding a grudge here. And I do want to come back, actually. There was something about the wedding dress in this, and let's look at what the truth for that is. we're seeing, let's draw it from the other deck. So we're seeing travel come through here. So what's the truth around this dress? I think there was a huge amount of back and forth about it. Like a huge amount of I want to say expectations for what it would be like, what it would look like. Control of it. It feels more like the control was coming from Nicola's side, like there was maybe like a controlling element around the wedding. I mean, a lot of people are like that about their wedding, so it's not unheard of. Lots of back and forth messages about this wedding dress, maybe some travel to accommodate this wedding dress, some princess behavior, a lot of stress. So it isn't quite how it's being presented here. I do believe it wasn't working, like the dynamic between them to build this wedding dress or something to do with the dress was just like not coming together, and everybody in the equation knew that it wasn't coming together. It was no great shock. Okay, anything else coming through around the Beckhams and Brooklyn and what is happening here? What about David and Victoria's public perception? The public liked them. I'm sorry, the British public anyway. The British public liked them. I don't think this is going to cause them too much of a hit. I mean, there's almost like this thing like, yeah, sure, the Beckhams. We're so shocked the Beckhams really like money. Like that's what it's giving. Like, of course, Victoria and David can be a touch controlling, can be a touch money focused, but in a way, like there's something about them that is quite likable still to the public. It's not like they haven't had scandals before, and I think there's substance to those things, and I think Brooklyn is always at risk of saying some of that, but ultimately they are positively viewed by the public. Even if there are like further disappointments or further revelations about them, I don't think it would have to be something pretty bad to do their image much damage. And almost as if they're always quite good at like spinning things in their favor here. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this puts additional attention on them and they're actually able to kind of have a resurgence and contemporary interest in them after this. I think for them to really mend things with Brooklyn, he would probably have to be single or to really have a moment where he takes accountability. I do very much see kind of a happy family here, and then someone that is under a lot of stress that feels self-inflicted. I mean, it's not beyond repair, but I'd be interested to see the developments moving forward. Okay, I hope that made sense. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, drop me a comment and let me know what you thought of this video. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.